Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Daydream Nation, and I've got John the Music Nut back to the channel. How are you, my mate?
I'm doing great, Peter. How about you?
Doing fine, doing fine. We are going to do a show on Buzzcocks. We are going to spotlight 5 Buzzcocks songs and do a mixtape in no particular order, any of the albums, any of the lineups. So, John, I'll throw to you. What's your first pick?
Well, I really don't mind starting first. I'm going to go with I Don't Mind.
Right.
I Don't Mind is pure punk pop bliss. Wonderful track. They always do it live. They usually do it early. It's great song to get the crowd into it. You want to hear where bands from the 90s with that pop punk sound really got what they were really picking up on, what they were listening to. Just check out I Don't Mind.
Absolutely.
It is a perfect track. It is, like I said, it is wonderful. Just great song written by Pete Shelley. Pete Shelley was pretty much the dominant songwriter in this album, although Steve Diggle's written a lot of songs as well. But
yes.
Yeah, I Don't Mind from the first album. Another music in a different kitchen. I just wanted to make sure I double check that there. So there you go. I Don't Mind.
What a corker of an album this is. This debuted in 1978, and this really put the Buzzcocks on the map. And I think they're one of the great all-time punk singles bands. Every single single that they put out is absolutely killer. You can see the lineage of bands like Offspring, Green Day, etc., etc., etc. From that album. So Buzzcocks, the quintessential lineup: Pete Shelley, Steve Diggle, Steve Garvey on bass, and John Mayer on drums. And that's a great track. Well, I'm going to pick Fast Cars, which is the opening track from this album. Mm-hmm. And, I just think it's just raw. It's ferocious. You've got the Pete Shelley sneering vocals. It's a cracker of an opener. And, there's a lot of the lyrics where Pete Shelley's talking about machinery, using that as a metaphor. I just think that's a really interesting poetic license to talk about modern society, but use machinery and technology as a metaphor. And it's just a cracker of a track. I love the lyrics. They're nice and precise. Each one begins and ends. They may win you admirers, but they'll never earn you friends. Fast cars, fast cars, fast cars. I hate fast cars. It's just so ferocious and raw. You can just see that opening track was just, it put down the gauntlet. This is, a statement of intent, and this is what we sound like. And it only goes for 2 minutes 27. And then 23 seconds into it, it changes gear and it kicks off with this bass line. It kind of reminds me of the Hoodoo Guru song, Just What I Like, dun, 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 dun. And it becomes this demented ode into Pete Shelley's disdain for his car. I hate fast cars. You look at the lyrics, they're simple, but they're beyond simple. There's a lot of meaning. There's a lot of social commentary. And again, just repeating myself, using machinery as a metaphor, I think it's fascinating.
Yes.
He's a great lyricist.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's your next one that you want to pick?
All right, my next one is from Love Bites, which was the second album. And to me, this is the best song they ever wrote. It was their biggest hit in the UK. It charted at number 12. And it's Ever Fallen in Love with Someone You Shouldn't Have.
Thank you. Taking that off the list. I chose that one as well. But over to you, my friend.
I had a feeling. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Peter. I called you Pete because of Pete Shelley. So, but anyway, this is just, again, just power pop bliss here. I mean, it's just a fantastic song, very catchy chorus. I mean, it sticks in your head right after the first listen. Pete Shelley came up with this title after he was watching the movie Guys and Dolls. And there's a line in the movie where the character says to Marlon Brando, "Did you ever fall in love with someone you shouldn't have?" And then he wrote the lyric to the song the next day. And this is, when I went to see them, this was one of the songs they did as their encore. Wonderful track. Ever fallen in love with someone you shouldn't have?
Yeah, absolutely. And when the person that he's fallen in love with is actually a gentleman, which was quite awkward for those times, it's groundbreaking. It's very sincere, very heartfelt. I think it's their greatest song, down pat. It's perfect punk / pop, because there is a pop sensibility to it. And it's been covered by lots of bands. Fine Young Cannibals, for one. That was a bit of a hit in the 80s. I'm not sure if it was a hit over in the stateside.
No.
Yeah, that was a hit for them in the UK. But emotional, direct. I did a show, I think, a year ago on Rock Daydream Nation about picking my favorite punk songs, and that was definitely up there in the top 5 or the top 10. It's right up there. Great pick, my friend. Great pick.
Thank you so much.
My next one off the Love Bites album is Operator's Manual. Again, you've got Pete Shelley using the metaphor of technology as part of a poetic license. I love the vocal phrasing of Shelley in the song, and it goes fast, then it goes slow. There's all these really tempo changes. It makes it really interesting. There's kind of like a push and pull. John Mayer's drumming. I was just sort of thinking that for a genre of music where people sort of think, oh, punk is just do it yourself and it's just amateur, there are so many great musicians. That's the funny thing about it. Like Rat Scabies, on drums and from The Damned. I think John Mayer's right up there as one of the premium drummers in punk. And the drum patterns of this song, they're kind of hypnotic, but you've got this surf rock pattern, and it's like a trance-like thing, drum pattern, really kind of complex that just underpins the melody. He's kind of almost the most valuable player musically. If you listen to all the songs, he is just top notch. But Operator's Manual, I just think it's just a great song. And I don't know, maybe this is their finest album, Love Bites. I think it's right up there. I mean, Ever Fallen in Love, and you look at the track listing, it's right up there.
There's some killers on this album, no doubt.
And recorded in 1978. They were putting out material really quickly. It's unprecedented in these days where people take so long to put material out, but they were just whacking it out.
They do. They just banged them out. I mean, I wish there were more bands that would put albums out every year instead of like every 4 to 7 these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Such a high quality.
Yeah. All right. What's your next one?
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to go with A Deeper Cut. Now, I know this from the live album French. Now, I believe this was on a reissue of the singles Going Steady, and the song is called Strange Thing. Strange Thing is very menacing and heavy. It's just 2 chords, the whole song, but it's just a killer song. I mean, it's simple, yet extremely effective. Love this track. It's very menacing and heavy. For them, it is certainly not pop punk or power pop or anything like that. It's just a very raucous, heavy, simple track. Strange Thing.
Right. No, that's a nice pick.
Thank you.
I'm going to go something a little bit different. This has got a little bit of a 60s feel to it. and it's got a bit of a Kinks feel to it. And I'm talking about Love Is Lies from 1978. It's kind of anthemic. It's got an anthem feel to it. It's honest. It's direct. It's on point. So it's got somebody that's got a bit of bravado. He's going out, I'm going out. I'm going to find myself a lover. I'm going to look until I drop. I'll never stop. I won't give up in any way, shape, or form. And then you go into the chorus where it goes, love is lies, love is eyes, love is everything that's nice. Love is not as cold as ice, but that's what means to me. And as you get deeper into the song, there's these insecurities that come in, and he doesn't have that sort of bravado anymore. It shows that he's maybe a little bit lost, maybe a little bit more vulnerable, all within a couple of minutes. Masterpiece. And that's the ability of a great songwriter, where you can take a narrative of somebody and then turn it around within the space of a couple of minutes, do a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering how mmany people were doing the pogo and the old punk, the slam dancing, the moshing, but while they're doing the lyrics, this really deep and emotional lyrics, just is going through. I think it's just quite unusual. Love Is Lies. That's my pick.
Excellent track, and it's about a bit of an outlier compared to the rest of that album, but in a good way. It's just an excellent track. And Steve Diggle would get a couple songs on each album. That's one of his best ones right there, no doubt.
He's still, flying the flag. And
yes, he is.
I picked this up the other day. So that's the Buzzcocks Sonics in
that's
the Soul. Yes.
Nice.
So he's got a different sort of voice. Just got to get past that, because the Buzzcocks to me has always been Pete Shelley. But once you get past the voice, the musically, it's not as edgy and spiky as that early material. It's a bit more traditional rock, but I appreciate that he's still flying the flag and putting out material. So that's ones that people can just check out. Buzzcocks, Sonics in the Soul.
Sweet. Awesome.
All right.
I'm
what do you got?
Back to the first album, Another Music in a Different Kitchen, and track I'm going with is 16.
Right.
16. One thing about the early albums, they like to just get on a riff and then just keep playing it to the point where it got hypnotic. And it could keep going on and you'd never get sick of it because the vibe was there. Kind of like krautrock. And they were just, Pete Shelley, I believe, was a fan of that. And
yes.
they like to, I thought these early albums, there was they would just get on this groove and they would just keep playing it. 16 just gets right into your head. I love that track. I love the melodic solos that kind of break it up a little bit. And then there's this big breakdown, which is it sounds like the end of the show and everything just all chaotic. And you just hear all these kind of noises. And then it gets right back into that groove again. And then it ends so abruptly. Yep. 16 is killer. I love it. And that's my fourth track.
Yeah, that was on my list.
Kitchen.
That was on my list. So I did a list of about 20, because for a singles band and you've got to choose 5, it's such a very daunting task, because all the songs are just such high quality, especially those first 3. But that's a cracker. All right, the next one I'm going to do is called Nothing Left. So this is one of their longer songs, goes for 4 minutes 26 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a concrete riff, precision drumming, and then it goes into this really jerky guitar lines, and you've got the light and the shade. And there's, with this light and shade and the sort of time signatures, it's almost progressive. Not prog rock when you think of prog rock, but within the genre of punk, it is progressive when they're using all these different types of time signatures. Catchy as hell.
Yes.
Nothing left. I think it's a corker.
It certainly is. Excellent choice. I love Nothing Left. Certainly was one that was on my mind. So for my last one, I'm going to go with the All Set album. This is fifth album, 1996, when they got back together. They broke up for many years. They did Trade Test Transmissions in 93 or 94, I believe, and then they did All Set. Track I'm going with is the second to last track, which I think should have ended the album, and the song is called Pariah. Pariah is similar to 16 in the fact that it's just got that great groove. It's just this great groove, and it switches it up a little bit, and it goes right back into the groove. This is bliss. Again, another great track. They always ended their albums with something long and repetitive with a great groove. This one they didn't. They ended it with a different track, which I thought they could have left off. But Pariah is just a killer track. It's just wonderful. Love it.
Great. And how do you rank that album in the discography? Right up there?
I don't know if it's quite as good as the first three, but there is a lot on here that I like. Yeah, there's a lot that I do like, particularly on the first half of the album. Like, I like Kiss and Tell's is more in the middle of the album, but yeah, there are some wonderful tracks on here. Your Love is killer. I think that would have fit in on the first two albums easily. Give It to Me, another great power pop song that would have been a hit single back in the day. Well, in the UK, it probably would have been. But yeah, there's quite a bit of songs on here I do like. It does have more of an updated production. Kind of like Green Day and Offspring were doing at that point.
Yes.
I think they were trying to get that audience, but there is songs on here that definitely could have fit on those early albums like a glove.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I keep on saying that they're the ultimate punk singles band, but those three albums are great. And, I've got to spotlight this album too, a different kind of tension, which is a killer album as well. There you go.
Absolutely.
I actually like the design of it, very bright. I mean, if you were going into a record store, your eyes would instantly sort of line up with this. And that's a segue to my last track that I've picked, called Sitting Round at Home. I love this. I was just playing this the other day and I wanted to pogo in the lounge room. It was just, it starts off in this hypnotic staccato riff, and then it changes gears into this helter-skelter rhythm. The bass, the drums, and the guitars just going hell for leather. Love it. And I was just thinking that's another test case for where bands like Green Day and Offspring, got their whole sound.
Yep. That's
so you've got the children getting the rewards and selling multiple albums, but it's actually the fathers that should get due recognition. And there is a narrative, and it needs to change, that punk in a lot of circles is just the Pistols and the Clash. There's a lot more. 100%. There's bands like Buzzcocks, The Damned, the Stranglers. They need recognition. They're all up there.
They were so influential on those power pop punk bands of the 90s. We put in a band like the Ramones. We hold them in this high standard, and as well we should.
Forgot about them. Ramones, yes.
yes, and we hold them like, oh, like they're the coup de grace of punk. I mean, and they're fantastic. But these bands that you mentioned, the Damned, the Buzzcocks, the Stranglers, they were just as influential as the Ramones were.
Part of the story, part of the pool. It was a very fertile pool, and they need the due recognition. And bands like the Damned don't get the recognition because they were just too damn broad musically, because you couldn't pigeonhole. Like the first two albums are like Hell for Leather Punk, then they go into a psychedelic phase, and their songwriting becomes even more creative, Beatlesque, Britpop.
Oh my gosh!
Mining the garage rock of the Kinks. You've got Dave Vanian doing the Scott Walker, painting a big canvas, and people sort of being a little bit dismissive because their own creativity, they sort of, well, you're not really truly punk and you've lost everything that you had. I don't know. There's certain critics that just control the narrative, and it's handed down from generation to generation as accepted as what it is when it really isn't.
I agree.
And there are certain parts of the punk story, the punk history, like Buzzcocks, that need that recognition and need to be part of the narrative. Because I think that in every record collection, you've got to at least have singles holding steady. This is one of the greatest hits albums you'll ever get. If you're just a train spotter and you just want to get a summary of the band's career, choose that.
Absolutely.
And I think it's still in print.
Singles were wonderful. Oh,
John
it's
the
still in
Musica.
print. It's still in print. You can still get that pretty easily.
Yeah, I've seen it on vinyl. I've seen it CDs. And I mean, maybe the three albums only just recently went through a reissue. So you should be able to get them. Some of them were off Record Store Day, but I've seen them in the local store. That they've had a special reissue, which is good. But part of the narrative, they're great.
Absolutely.
Should be.
They should be. And I think they should have had more success even back in the day that they had.
Yes.
They had like 6 top 40 hits in the UK, and their biggest charting song only got to number 12. I mean, Ever Fallen in Love, you would think a song like that would be a number 1 smash in the UK back in 1977 or 78.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we've chosen some other, any other songs that you want to sort of spotlight?
Well, like you, I had 18 songs. I'm gonna
throw me a couple of song titles.
Well, Just Lust from Love Bites. That was my 5. I was bouncing between about 12 songs, and the ones that I picked were the ones that stuck in my head the most. Just Lust was very close for me off of Love Bites, my bad. I also was thinking of Boredom, which was actually their first single, which is a song they do live. Which it was kind of the blueprint to the song Fast Cars. So that was one I was thinking of. Hollow Inside from their third album, Different Kind of Tension. That's a darker track for them.
Yeah,
it's very, very harrowing, almost paranoid at times. That one I was thinking seriously of considering. And I Believe from that same album, A Different Kind of Tension, was another one I really love. And that's another one that they end their shows with. That's another cracker of a song.
Yeah, I was almost going to choose that. That's on my list.
Nice. I'll give you one more. Let me see here. Orgasm Addict. There's one of their great singles.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't covered that. That one would have caused a little bit of a problem in the day, but that's one of their signature tunes.
Yes, it certainly is. Yeah, great track. Catchy
Absolutely. And some really smart, smart with lyrics.
No doubt about it.
I picked Different Kind of Tension, the song, which again goes into that little bit where I said they're kind of progressive, because there's some interesting things within the confines of that song that you don't hear in other punk bands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind. I put down. What else did I do? Walking Distance. It's like I chose Walking Distance as something a little bit different. Nice. Nothing Left.
Nothing Left is great. That was on my list too.
Yeah. I think but basically there's just so many great songs, very hard to pick and whittle it down, but I think we've created a good little mixtape. So there you go. So nice. From an album perspective, what are your top three? First three?
Yeah. In that order.
I would do Love Bites 1, Different Kind of Tension 2, and maybe the first one as the first long player as my number 3. But you do it as 1, 2, 3.
I would in that order.
Yeah.
But they're all great. They'd all be 9s or 10s.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for this, John. As always, you bring it home, and it was really good to go through the songs and put a spotlight on Buzzcocks, because very influential to this day, and their music needs to still be shared, and people need to know about them, because great songs should last forever. And there there are so many great songs in their catalogue, and it was a real gas to talk to you about the Buzzcocks. So you can see John the Music Nut on My Music Corner. You can see him on the Contrarians and plenty of other channels. You could also see him on this channel called Rock Daydream Nation. Please like and subscribe. Please put your comments and tell us what Buzzcocks songs that you like. What are your favorite songs? What are your favorite albums? But one thing's for sure, me and John will see you soon in a show. Catch you later. Cheers. Bye.